So again, you know, when I started, what we did is we put together a little, one of these charts, a little ticks, you know, and said, here's what we're trying to do. And so over the last 6, 7 months, you know, we've started to put together a resource. We've started to put together a management team. We've raised some money. We bought some properties. We finished the scoping study. We just finished that coal quality drilling, and we're doing the testing right now in the lab in Vancouver. We're going to very quickly be adding some more resources in that new area that we bought from the government, those crown leases. We're going to come out with some additional resources here very soon. We're going to do probably another scoping study. We're going to start environmental baseline studies here later this summer. Because we have 4 seasons, you're required by the environment people to do studies in all the seasons. And so that's what we're going to kick off here, and that's going to help us get our permits later on. We are hoping to be in a feasibility study 4th quarter this year. And the reason why we feel we can get there is because our project, even though we're new, we're really not new. We had 2 feasibility studies done on these properties in the early 1980s. The only thing that really has changed, the mining, even though we're adding bigger equipment, more modern equipment, the mine plans were pretty solid. They were done by good companies, very qualified companies, Denison and Essel. The only thing that's changed is the environmental side. The environmental regulations have changed, so we need to update those. But we feel confident that we can get into a feasibility study at the end of the year. And then the other big thing for us is that I told you we kicked off trying to list on Toronto. We've got our lawyers on site. We actually...
Will you trade under the name Coalspur?
Yes, we will be Coalspur. The only thing that will happen that's different is in Australia, our symbol is CPL. We tried to get it on Toronto, but it was already taken. And so we're going to be a different symbol. That's the only thing, but we will be Coalspur Mines Limited. So,
is all the coal going to China?
No, actually, the coal that's coming out of Sherritt, Coal Valley, is right now is sold primarily into Korea and Japan. The China phenomenon is just something that's happened. I've got a slide. I'm going to get to it because I want to talk about it. Because the China thing is for real. Dennis and I, in our other life, were pretty fortunate that when we built our mine in Mongolia, we had to sell, Mongolia is an autonomous country, we had to sell coal into China. And so we had a bald Ukrainian and a Canadian Frenchman traveling around China trying to peddle coal in the interior of China. And we weren't selling coal out, along the coast. We were based out of Beijing, and we were flying into the hinterlands of western China, and we got ourselves a Russian lady from Irkutsk in Siberia who was educated in Beijing. So the 3 white folks, we traveled around, and we were actually pretty successful selling coal. But what I'm getting at is that we saw the China phenomenon happen, and it's real. Everything you read about it, unless you really go there, we're fortunate. Dennis and I actually spent a lot of time in Beijing, and we had an office there. Unless you saw what's going on in China, you have no idea the amount of construction that's going on. And all of these people, there's over 1 billion Chinese, and all they want is to own a telephone, they want a television, they want a car, they want power, they want steel, they want a condo. And so China is just full of cities that have over 1 million population in these cities that no one's ever heard of. And all of these cities, you go right into the hinterland, and they're building all of these places, and they need coal, and they need steel, and they need power. And right now what's happening, the thing that's driving everything, that's not only in China, it's India, Vietnam, they're running out of their own resources and they're importing. And so for the first time, China is actually importing coal over the last couple of years, and I'll get to a slide here. And that gives us a very, very good window of opportunity because not only are we feeling pretty confident that we can sell this coal into Korea and Japan, for the first time, we're feeling pretty confident that we can sell this coal into China. So what I told you before is that thermal coal pricing, remember the 2008 spike, thermal coal was up to almost $200 a ton US. It went into the doldrums, and as of a week ago, this week it's trading at $95 after having dropped down into the middle 60s. So it's making a comeback the same way that coking coal is. I'll just give you a little bit. Okay, so this is sort of the interesting thing. We, because we do things for the stock exchanges, and we're only a small little non-producing company, we have to go out and get third-party consultants. And they have to tell the world, these guys are, this is a forecast for pricing, or this is a forecast for exchange pricing. Because we sell our coal in US dollars, and then we exchange it into Canadian, we need people to forecast that for us, because we're not allowed to, because we're just a junior. So this is a company called Wood Mackenzie out of London, third party, that said, okay, guys, this is what we believe is going to happen in thermal coal demand. And this is hundreds of millions of tons, okay? And to kind of put this thing into perspective, China last year produced 2.7 billion tons of coal. That's 2.7 billion. All of Canada produces 70 million tons. Okay? So if you take a look at this, they're saying that, over the next, 12, 14 years, we're going to go from 350 to almost 650 million tons. That's 300 million tons that has to come from somewhere. 300 million tons is like 4.5 Canadas that we have to find that coal. And the thing is that thermal coal is the same like coking coal. It's not readily available. You can't readily just say, well, we'll just open up another mine in Australia. The easy stuff is gone. You need ports, you need infrastructure. People are going to Africa, Siberia, into the hinterland looking for coal now because the easy stuff is all gone. And that's why we're pretty confident that there's a real great opportunity here to build a world-class facility in Hinton. Because people would rather come to a country like Canada, Alberta, Hinton, rather than going into the hinterland of Africa or into Siberia. And we are pretty confident that we will attract off-takers to buy this coal and also invest in this. So one of the things that we're doing right now is we're doing a bunch of quality work to determine the quality of our coal, as I mentioned. We shipped it out to a lab, the core samples, we shipped it out to a lab in Vancouver, and we're getting the quality of the coal determined so that we can go start talking to end users in Asia. And so Dennis and I are going to kind of put on our little traveling hats here in about 3 months, and we're going to go and visit our friends. And we've done this a fair bit of time. We're going to go to Japan, we're going to go to Korea, we're going to go to China. We're going to try and find potential investors and users. It's a very nice situation if you can have your customer investing in your property. So that's one of the things we have on the agenda.